to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, conceal carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Eccles.
Here we are once again. It is Saturday night, and we are tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. It is me, and I am here tonight with Mark. Mark decided he would grace us with his presence. Just me and Mark. Kind of a nice, quiet show, right?
Well, yeah, it might be a little bit rowdy, but
we've actually got quite a little bit rowdy. You're drinking your tea, and I got my water over here. Yep. We're fixing to get.
We are Tarverless today.
We're fixing to get crazy up in here.
Yeah, I feel like there's a void over in the corner of the room.
There is a presence that is missing.
Yeah,
and I think you might be a little Cajun. A little Cajun presence.
Cajun.
A little.
We're missing some of the spice that. In the show.
We're missing some of the boudin balls. So, by the way, I've got a remind me, and I've got a call or a email from a listener. Yeah, yes. Remember?
Peter. No.
Peter said he sent one, but I never got an email.
Oh, okay.
But no, this is from a listener over in Oregon. He wants to correct us on some things.
Okay. Well,
so I'll read that later.
That's all good.
But let's start this off right. I tell you what, we started to get emails. We started to get people contacting us, and we like that, and we want to continue to move forward with that. And so let's go ahead and throw out our contact info and let everyone know how they can get a hold of us.
So if you'd like to get a hold of us, make questions, or give us any questions or comments, or correct us on anything, which we're more than happy for you to do.
We're never wrong.
We're here in Idaho. Everybody's states are different, so we like to get information right as much as possible. You can email us at patriotdefense13@yahoo.com. You can also call the podcast hotline. Leave a message on there. It's 1-208-696-4397. If you're interested in any classes or even some swag, we have some t-shirts for sale at patriotdefense13.com. It also has a calendar of some upcoming events. Check it out. As always, like, share, tell your friends, family, all of that stuff. We love to do this stuff, and we love to hear from you.
Yeah, we sure do. On the website where you can order, right now all I've got is t-shirts. Okay, and if I can sell through those or get a good portion of those sold, I'll get more shirts, and I want to get some hats and stuff on there too. But it's kind of, I kind of would like it to. I'm really not making any money off these, and that was never the plan. I'm trying to self-fund the swag page is what I'm trying to do. Get some hats, maybe some hoodies up there, something like that. Maybe I'll throw some stickers up there, but I got to make the money to be able to spend the money to restock the page.
I think we need to make a hoodie.
I've
Patriot Defense, everything on the back.
Yeah.
Hashtag boudin balls.
Boudin balls. I like that. It'll be the. And what we'll do is we'll give Tarver an ink marker.
Yeah.
And we'll have him. I'll get him to sign it, sign it, and then I'll take that to the person who creates it, and it'll be like the special Tarver edition.
There you go.
So
limited edition.
Limited edition. So there's that guy that's always on Facebook. He started off doing the videos for the gun. But they do special edition T-shirts for what's that company that makes all the shirts?
Nine Line?
No, the other military one.
Eagle 6, Grunt Style. And Adam Calhoun, and it's got his signature. Well, gotcha.
We'll have the Tarver. We'll have the Tarver series shirts.
The Tarver series, yeah.
It'd be like a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Boudin balls.
We'll be the talk of the town.
We'll have a picture of two balls on the back of the shirt, and Tarver will sign underneath it. So
it's a good thing he's not here, because he might not be on board with this.
No, I don't think he would be. So, what have you done in the last week that's been Second Amendment related?
Well, it's kind of funny. We went out, we took our guns, but we didn't really shoot. But we went out riding our four-wheelers out across the canyon, and through the desert, and
You were ready for anything.
yeah, ready for anything. We came across a brand new Chevy Silverado buried, halfway into the mud. I mean, the thing was clear up to the floorboards. Nobody in it, not occupied. It was a rental truck.
Did you get in and blow the motor up?
No, that would be no. Anyway, no, it was a rental. Had a Hertz rental agreement thing in it from the airport and whatnot. But it had Washington plates, and it was a little odd, to see it out in the middle of nowhere, stuck in the
Buried,
mud.
left.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
just left there. First thought, because of Washington plates on it, we thought maybe it was a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
So we called in the authorities and let them be aware of it and everything. So.
So was it stolen?
No, as far as we could tell, it was just a rental and they're not sure. They never reported it stolen. The deputy, we talked to him later, and
All right.
he said it's never been reported stolen. So at this point, it'd be hard for them to prove that it was stolen.
So there's a free truck sitting out in the desert.
Yeah, if you can dig it out of the mud.
Oh, I'll take the old Scout out there. We can yank anything out of the mud.
Yeah, the front end is pretty damaged, but other than that, it's a
Scrap
pretty
it
nice
for
truck.
we scrap it for parts.
It's a pretty nice truck. I'm just saying.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything too major, but we did take our guns with us. So.
Yeah, got out and enjoyed the weather a little bit. Kind of had
Yeah.
some nice days mixed
Yeah.
with a bunch of really crappy cold days. But spring's coming. It's gonna fight its way in, but it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, what'd you do?
what did I do Second Amendment related? You know what? I kind of worked on preparing some more classes, kind of getting that ready. And actually, since the weather's been nice and I got the sunburn to prove it, I've spent actually a few days out here kind of cleaning up the place, kind of cleaning up the range, making it. So there was always a lot to do when I bought this place, and I was concentrated on digging the range and getting classes rolling, and people would show up, and the range works, and the classroom is nice, but they'd come outside, and it's not horrible, but it just could be a little more presentable.
Yeah.
But it was a work in progress. So I planted a bunch of grass. I'm gonna clean up a bunch of stuff, and hopefully by midsummer, this place is kind of cleaned up and in ship shape, a little more, I guess, presentable. More, I don't know if it's not unwelcoming, but I want to make it more welcoming.
Yeah,
I
put
guess
a shiny red bow on it.
a shiny red bow. That's it. That's it. So I've got a class coming up. Well, it's this next weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday. I think I got like 30 or 31 people signed up for it. So it's going to be a big class, but if it's a nice day, which I think it's supposed to be really nice all week, I would imagine there'll be a handful that don't show up. That's just the way it goes. People get a little cabin fever and they sign up for it because they want to get out of the house. And then when it's nicer outside than it is on the range, they decide that they need to, I don't blame them because I love doing the classes, but sometimes I'd rather be somewhere else too.
Yeah, no, I don't blame them. Yeah, I think this next class will have Team High Point there. And
Sweet.
yeah, I'm not going to get too involved in that. But anyway, I'll tell you after the show on that one.
There you go. I think we're towing the line here. I think we're towing the line. I think in the next month or two we'll be outside shooting.
Yeah.
I really think it's one of those where I reserve the range, and then I kind of look about noon, about halfway through the class when I let people go to lunch. I'm like, do you guys want to shoot on the range, or do you want to go to the indoor or stay outside? And I kind of let them choose.
Yeah.
Classes have been big enough though that we may just go do it inside because it allows us a few more lanes.
A few more lanes to shoot from, yeah.
I was out here looking because I want to dig the range just a little deeper, a little longer. And I was looking at it real hard, trying to see if there's any way I could dig out like 2 more lanes. I just don't think I have the room for it.
Yeah. Not without cutting into, I don't know,
walkway.
you'd be really, you wouldn't have your walkway anymore. And you'd really kind of be stretching it.
Yeah, I would be pushing it hard. So anyhow, do we have any thoughts from behind the gun counter?
I do. And this is kind of,
I'm excited. You didn't even give me a heads up, man.
No.
I'm excited on this one.
this is, so this is a culmination of me. But it's mostly Dan. We need to get Dan back on the podcast again, but Dan has some really good things, and he sees things that I'm pretty much like blind to, or either that, or I just like, forget about it.
Right.
Because I'm used to it so much, it just like doesn't resonate anymore. It just doesn't. But Dan does make a good point.
Oh, speaking of that, I mean, interrupt, but I'll come back to this. When I was in there the other day and saw people looking at guns, remember, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'll forget, man.
So this one is it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We get people coming up to the counter. You know, they walk right in the door, they walk right to the counter, and first thing out of their mouth is something like, do y'all have a 505 Geoffrey up there?
Some weird.
And I look around like,
when's the last time
am I being punked right now? I don't even know what the heck that is. You know, I've never even heard of that.
I haven't either.
Why would we have a 505 Geoffrey up there? Have you ever seen it anywhere else?
I don't know. You got a 270 Winchester?
Yeah, but that's a very common.
Why wouldn't you have a 505? Is that even a thing?
It is. I mean, this is something that Dan looked up, right? And it is. It's an elephant gun. I mean, why are we going to have an elephant gun?
Why the hell would you have an elephant gun?
Exactly.
So are these people serious, or are they just being smart?
I swear
are they just trying to put you on the spot?
I think they try and like make us feel dumb or something for some odd reason. They just get a thrill out of it. I don't know. I mean, I really don't understand. Have you ever seen one anywhere else?
Here's the thing. You could go into like the biggest gun store that we have in the area. You could go up to Boise and go to Cabela's. I guarantee you they're probably not going to have a 505 Jeffries.
Yeah. I don't even know what it is. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
But it is a thing. I mean, we looked it up. It is a thing, but still.
And so what did they say when you told them no? Or what did you say?
So they asked Dan this. So
yeah.
Dan, Dan's really good. He keeps his cool really well. Dan just says, kind of looks around a little bit and looks at him and says, "Nope."
I didn't see one. Oh.
Yeah.
What'd they do?
Oh, they just kind of like, kept walking like.
I guess they one-upped you, or
but
what?
Did they really expect? I mean, I like to meet people's expectations, but there's a point where it's just too much, I mean, do you really expect us to have that? Even something like, and this is going to probably get some comments on, but a 338 Lapua.
Right.
Yes, we have had one in the past. They're not really that big a demand for them, though.
Well, but you could special order them.
We can special order that.
Probably
and
the same way you could
is,
special order the 505 Jeffries if they really wanted one.
Maybe. Does Josh? Okay, Josh, what does he say here?
He doesn't know what he's going to do with his D&B gift certificates now.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah,
You don't have the 505 Jeffries.
No 505 Jeffries, so no. I guess he's not going to use his gift cards.
Who makes it? A Jeffries?
I have no idea. I don't even know a company that makes a rifle that shoots that caliber. I mean,
so that'd be like me going to your farm and ranch section over there and saying, "Deliver me a semi-load of chicken feed."
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to go, what?
Tactical chicken feed.
Tactical chicken. You guys carry into that tactical chicken feed? The stuff that takes them from egg to butcher in like a week?
Yeah. I mean, it blows me away that people really, I don't know if they actually expect us to have that or if they're just trying to show their knowledge of firearms or something. I don't really understand it, but their expectations are a little too high if they think we have something like that.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, yeah, we need to get Mr. Dan back on the show again. I almost told you to bring him with you. Yeah, bring him with you tonight.
Well, I would have, but he's working, so.
Oh, so you can
He's doing the closing shift, so I can be here.
Gotcha. So,
yeah, you were there the other day, and.
Oh, my gosh. So, yeah. What did I say to you? That I wanted to shadow you guys for like a day. Because I can come up with all the podcast and
you would have one hell of a show.
Content. In fact, if I can't be there, I want to rig you up with I'll pay for
a GoPro,
a little camera that they can't see because the crap that I saw when I was in there was.
You had
So there was a gentleman
tactical Ted.
Yeah, he was a gentleman looking at a gun.
Yeah,
and he walked in there and he picked it up and you want to test the trigger on a firearm. I understand that. You want to pull the slide back once, maybe twice, okay? Yeah. This guy I think he just liked to hear the noise that it made.
Yeah, which you can do that at home with your own gun. Don't do it to our guns.
He was racking the slide, cocking it, pushing it out, pulling the trigger, racking the slide, and he did it like 24 times while he was talking to you. And the funny part was, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, I don't even have my fake gun in here, but instead of racking the slide from the back, he was reaching up, grabbing the front of it, the front of the slide.
To press check and stuff.
Yeah, to press check. But he was racking that slide and ching, 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 click. Yeah. Ching, 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 click. Oh, I really like this. Ching, 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 click.
Yeah.
And he did that for like 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Do you get that a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Is it like they're trying to show off their skills to you?
That's a lot of it. I mean, I'm glad that you went and took a class and learned some of that stuff. That's great. It's very good to know that stuff if you ever have to use it and you're out in the field or whatever.
Right.
Or if you're a teams guy, that's great to know that stuff. But you're standing in front of a gun counter. It's not necessary. It's very,
right.
I mean, it's very, to me, you just
look like
looking
a moron.
more like a dumbass.
So, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this at DMB, and maybe you have. But I was at another gun store in town, and I saw this was one of the people working behind the gun counter. It's a place that I don't go into anymore. This is going to be my gun. But I was talking to him about something, and he's like, "Oh, you need to get a Glock or whatever." And so he picked a Glock up. I thought he was going to let me look at the Glock. It was a 19, and instead he picks it up and he pulls it into his chest and he drives it out like he's going to shoot it, pulls the trigger, pulls it back in, to like the close ready or the low ready, and he checks over his left shoulder, checks over his right shoulder, and and goes to the Sewell position.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And I'm like, what? So you took a class last weekend? I mean, what the hell? What are you doing?
I know.
You just look like a complete and utter moron.
Right. That's great to do if you're practicing at the range and you want to practice that, but don't do it in front of the gun counter.
I mean, and this wasn't even the guy looking at the gun.
Right.
This was the guy selling the gun.
Wow.
I'm like,
so yeah, don't be, I don't know.
Don't be a
tool.
Don't be a knob, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Don't be a knob. There'll be no knobbies at the gun counter.
Exactly. There you go. So yeah, that's kind of that's another thing I could have mentioned as a, thought from behind the gun counter. I get to the point where I'm just oblivious to the stuff anymore.
And I'm like there watching it and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Did you see me switch aisles?
Yeah.
I had to get right behind it because I wanted to hear what he was saying.
Right. No, I just
ridiculous.
Anymore, I don't even pay attention to it. It's just I see it every day.
You look like you were really into it because you could see where that guy was coming from, and you were like, "Yeah, yeah."
No, that's me every day.
I like HKs. I got one of each. Yeah,
yeah.
And
I do. I'm not bragging about it, but I do. I mean,
I'm not like dogging on your gun selling skills, but it's just you could tell you were just like fed up with this guy. You're thinking, just dude, you need to freaking leave.
Yeah. Congratulations, you learned something. Now go.
You can press check that gun and pull that trigger.
Go apply it elsewhere.
You can press check that gun and pull that trigger with the best of them, dude.
I've never seen anybody do that before. Wow, you're the first.
That's awesome. So, well, okay. Josh wants to know
field stripping.
Have you ever had anyone field strip?
Actually, not really.
Really?
To be honest with you, yeah. Most people won't field strip it. I'll do it for them, but because if they want to know,
about it.
But there's certain features I like to show them. That's why I'll field strip it and just show them.
Sure.
Like on the Glock, that there's several different safety features,
right?
And that's the easiest way to show them. But yeah, no, Josh, to answer your question, not too many. If maybe a couple, but
really
not very often.
I don't ever see the need to field strip it. I don't field strip them for at least a year and a half after I get them.
Yeah.
I just shoot them. I figure from the factory they are good to go.
Yeah,
they are ready right then and there.
Throw some rounds downrange.
So we got some lots of stuff happened this last week.
Oh yeah, it's been a busy week.
It's been a busy week, so hopefully lots of good content for the podcast. And I'm still trying to find time to do a midweek podcast. I know I talked about it, and I was all gung-ho and ready to go, and I don't know, last 2 weeks, not that anyone cares. At work, I've been dealing with going and treating different places for like bed bugs, and I've just been like, and all I want to do when I get done with that is go home and freaking shower. I'm not even worried about doing anything else.
Get in a fetal position on the floor of the shower.
Well, I've been getting my ears pierced. I'm trying to bring back the early 90s.
Yeah, you are. You're quite the trendsetter.
I'm trying to bring back the early 90s. I went and did like a walk around with my wife today, and the
kind of looks like you got abducted by aliens. Yeah. I'm not gonna
the people that walk around are like, what's going on over there? In fact, I went and ate. I haven't seen my parents for quite a while. Went and ate dinner with my parents last night. They had no idea I was doing this acupuncture stuff, and I'm sitting next to my dad, and I'm waiting for him to say something, and I'm talking to him, and I kind of see him kind of like looking at me a little bit.
Yeah.
Finally, my mom sees it, and Mom was like, "What's in your ear? What's going on over there?" And so I told him, and I said, "You didn't notice it? I'm sitting right next to you, Dad. I know you just turned 69. You're not that old."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know, man. I thought maybe it was some kind of medical thing you got going on, and I thought maybe you were just piercing your ears. I don't know." I'm like, "Really, dude? There's like 12 of them, and they're all over."
Kids nowadays.
That's right. That's right.
Darn piercings and tattoos.
You should see where else. Never mind.
No.
Okay, but yeah, lots of news going on. So the big one was the guy over in New Zealand who hit 2 mosques and I think killed like 49 people or something like that.
Yeah, that's a little that's a disturbing thing that happened there. I mean, we've had some, mass shootings, or is what the media calls them. I don't really like to call them that, but I guess it is what it is. That's a little disturbing happening, and everything that involved with it, the reasoning that the guy supposedly had, which is never a good reason, but it's very disturbing.
His reasoning was he was trying to, I can't even remember his exact words. He was trying to bring attention to the Second Amendment, thinking it needed to be like more gun control, and
right.
The dude was just messed up.
Oh yeah, so he's gonna go gung ho. I mean, I don't know if that's the term literally, but he's gonna just go gung ho.
He's insane
and just start blasting people to prove a point.
Yeah,
that's not right.
And New Zealand, I mean, I didn't read up on it, but they've got pretty strict gun control.
Yeah, I would
already,
imagine.
And now they want to do more. Obviously,
yeah.
The dude. Okay, so I got on there and I didn't want to watch it right away, but I went on and I found. Well, I had our buddy Tarver. He's pretty good on the internet, and he found the link. And I'm not encouraging anyone to go watch it. I mean, it's a little weird. But the dude had a camera on his head, and I think he live streamed the entire thing. Well, he had to live stream because there's no way he'd be able to upload it after he got caught.
Right,
so
true.
He live streamed this thing the entire way through. And I saw like the 15. Well, I don't know if there's a longer video, but I saw 15 minutes of a 15-minute video on it, and we kind of watched a few minutes of it here.
Yeah, it's a little messed up.
It's a little messed up, and
you feel like you're almost watching a live video game taking place. I mean, just.
And a lot of it is because it's the first person,
right?
Okay, because the camera's on his head, and so you see that. So it feels like you're. But the way he did it, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do what he did, but you could tell he was messed up in the head because he went in there and he started shooting people and killing people, and he kept leaving, and then he kept coming back and spraying bullets into a pile of dead bodies.
Yeah,
just I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say about it. He's just an evil person.
Yeah,
sick.
It was a sick, twisted mentality that he would just go back and continue doing that. I mean, it's one thing, and I'm not promoting this at all, but by any means, it's one thing to go and just shoot, but then to go back and just continually do it over and over.
To shoot into the
you're just really. I don't even know what the words are. It's disgusting.
You're just wired wrong. You're evil. You're demented.
There's a lot of evil. Intentions.
Right.
And every time he pulls the trigger, that's coming out. And I hate to say that because it's going to give, law-abiding gun owners a bad image.
Yeah. I want to know. You saw his rifles. Okay, the thing that stood out to me was he had
writing all over.
He had in white writing, paint, tape. I don't know what it was. He had writing all over his rifles.
Yeah,
and I couldn't. I made pause that video and tried to zoom in and see, but I couldn't see exactly what it said.
What's written? Yeah, when he's getting out of his car is probably the best time to look at him.
Yeah,
because they're just covered in writing. I mean, everywhere.
Right. That was a pretty messed up deal. I mean, it was really. I don't know. I'm not encouraging anyone to go to watch it, but you probably whatever. If you can find a link and watch it, I have a link. I'm not going to post it up by any means. I don't want to encourage that. I don't want to make the guy famous by any means.
Not at all.
But it's so I heard. I don't know. Anyhow, just a bad deal. It's just a bad deal, and I think as we go on and these things become more and more prevalent, I think we could see stuff like that even here. So The thing is, he did hit 2 mosques. I'm pretty sure he drove in between. It took law enforcement in New Zealand 36
minutes.
36 minutes to respond. 36 minutes. And you saw this guy walking down the street with a rifle, with guns, and he passed other people on the street. People were driving by, and he's walking down the street carrying a rifle.
No, he walked right in front, like right by people.
Right by people to get into the mosque.
To get into the mosque, yeah.
I mean,
and people didn't do anything. They just watched him like with this weird look on their face, like, what's that guy doing?
Yeah.
He's carrying a gun. I wonder what he's doing.
And he had enough time at that first, at least the one that I saw in the video. He walked in, did his business, shot up the place, left. He went in like 3-4 times, something like that. And he would come back out. And when he came back out, he'd see someone on the street. He'd shoot at him.
Yeah. Well, the one guy,
and then he'd go back in.
One guy tried to escape and almost ran into him trying to get out.
Right.
He had no chance. But I mean, at least he was trying. I mean,
yeah,
2% chance is better than no chance.
Well, and I also read too, if you you'd have to watch the full video, but I know a guy wrote up what he saw, and he says it was kind of like pretty indefensible, really. There was one way in, one way out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
And it was like, and so you walked in there, it's like walking into a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah, you could see it just in the video.
One hallway in, went straight in, and it split off. And how are you going to get out at that point?
And at this point, obviously New Zealand's going to push for stricter gun laws,
right?
Which they didn't do anything in this case.
Stricter is not going to, I guarantee you didn't get them legally.
They're basically, the way I look at it is they're trying to fight fire by adding paper to it.
Right.
I mean, that's literally what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to fight a fire by adding fuel to it.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of, fighting fire with fire or fighting fire with water, they're adding paper.
You're not solving the problem.
Paper is not going to do anything. And that literally it's paper because they're writing these laws down on paper. Saying you can't do this, it did no good.
And unfortunately, I don't know what would have stopped this guy. Strict gun control didn't do it. Stricter gun control is not going to do it. You know what? Some people are just flat out evil, and they're going to do whatever it is they want to do, no matter what. Whether they use a firearm, a stick, a match,
knife,
you name
whatever.
it, a knife. People are going to do what they want to do. If they're evil enough, they're just going to.
There'll be a means. Everybody's going to. They'll always have a means to do it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a kid could drive his car through the parking lot at a high school and do have the same effect as going into the school and shooting it up. And I'm not trying to give anybody ideas, but that's literally, that could happen.
Craziness, but I don't even know what else to say about that. But just our thoughts and prayers go out to the people who in New Zealand who were affected by that. So
I love New Zealanders. I'm going to say that. I don't know why. Always have.
There you go. Speaking of, this is one we didn't bring up, but we mentioned knives. So there was an article, and this guy, they're making his fellow, I don't know, government officials, this guy over in like Great Britain has come up with a fantastic idea because, they got rid of firearms and so knife attacks are on the rise. And so they're starting to outlaw knives and stuff. Yeah. And so what his big deal was is any knife that is manufactured, whether it be to use in your kitchen, whatever, he wants to push for it to be fixated with a GPS locating device.
I got a better idea. Why don't you just chain it to your counter?
There you go. It's just absolutely, and they're kind of laughing at him. As strict as they are, he wanted this to happen, and they're like, "What else are we going to start? We start putting GPS trackers on like forks? I mean,
yeah."
He's like, "What are we going to do if there's a stabbing? We're going to turn on our GPS trackers and locate all the knives."
What happens if your GPS
radius?
tracker, as you're cutting your steak, falls into the steak and then you eat it?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's just the craziness from over there.
There's a wrong frame of thinking, people. It's just wrong.
It's exactly.
Backwards.
Exactly.
You want to. In New Zealand, I mean, could you imagine if people were armed and were able to defend themselves? Oh. Probably a totally different result would have happened.
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, I guarantee it.
But you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. So closer to home here. Let's come back on to this side of the pond. Okay. Closer to home. We have got, actually, this is here in the state of Idaho. the House just passed the bill that would allow 18-year-olds that were residents of Idaho, 18-year-olds could take part in our constitutional carry. So as it stands right now, constitutional carry passed in 2016, I think. 16. Yeah. And that said, that if you were a resident of Idaho and you were 21 and older, you could legally conceal carry without a permit. Okay. And it also said that if you were 18, at 18 years old, you could legally conceal carry, but you had to get the Idaho enhanced permit. So you had to take the class.
Right.
18 to 21. And they decided they wanted to get what they called the local Idaho Second Amendment Alliance decided that they wanted to issue in this have what they call full constitutional carry. So they wanted to allow 18-year-olds to carry, be able to conceal carry without actually going and getting their Idaho enhanced permit. So the House has passed that, and it moves on to the Senate, where I think at this point, they'll probably pass it, and I have no qualms with thinking that the governor will sign it into law.
Yeah.
Okay. I am, and this isn't coming from the money side. I do give that class. I haven't had that many 18-year-olds or younger come in and take my class, okay, because a lot of them don't know about it. So I'm not doing this from the money standpoint, but I do agree with this. Sure, why not? If they can, sign up for the military and go to war at 18, might as well be able to carry a handgun. Yeah. But like always, I want to throw this out there. I do encourage people who are going to, even though they can legally carry in the state of Idaho without a permit, concealed carry that is, to feel the responsibility to come and take a class, learn the laws, find out what you're doing, learn how to do it properly and within the right legal bounds, and learn how to draw the gun and fire the gun. And I would just want them to feel the responsibility to go out and get the education. I wish everyone would feel that, but they don't. And I'm not crying there's going to be blood in the streets because of this. I'm not saying that at all. I do think there are some people out there carrying firearms that really need an education.
Absolutely.
You see them in town. You see how they're carrying.
I see it every day.
You probably have people come into the gun store and tell you certain laws, and you're going, that ain't right.
Right.
I mean, it's all the time. And my business actually, since they issued constitutional carry, actually has gone up. Well, I think more people are taking classes.
Right.
But I'm just a little concerned that 18-year-olds, they shouldn't be mandated to, obviously they won't if this passes, but they aren't going to feel that need or that responsibility to go out and do this right. So I'm going to reach out to all granted, 18 years old, you're considered a legal adult at that point, right?
You can vote.
You can do whatever.
You have to sign for the draft and all that.
Except for buy alcohol. I think that if your son or daughter wants to do this at age 18, that's fantastic. And if you have a little say in their lives, if you've got a little pull, if they listen to you, you still need to encourage them. Don't require them, but you still need to encourage them to go out and learn how to do it right, how to do it responsibly.
Now, I would encourage them to still get the permit, based on their age, if they are attending college or something like that in the state of Idaho.
Well, that would be another good thing.
Right.
Because if they are attending, I didn't even think about that, Mark. If they are going to college in the state of Idaho, even though they can still carry at 18, they still need that permit to be able to carry on campus.
On campus,
that is a very good way to look at that, actually.
Yeah,
that is a fantastic way to look at that. That slipped my mind.
That's the way and like you said, the education aspect of it never hurts to educate yourself.
Right.
Never once in the history of man has it hurt to learn something.
To continue your education a little bit, right?
Yes.
Knowledge is power.
Sure.
I mean,
I think so.
I agree so.
I mean, as long as you're getting the right knowledge.
The right knowledge, that's right. So that brings us to, do you have anything to add, anything to talk about before I move on?
No.
I'm on a roll today, man.
Yeah,
I actually wrote stuff down today. Look at, I scrawled some stuff down on this piece of paper here.
You scribbled.
I did. I put it on my phone, and then I scribbled it down on this piece of paper here. So I'm trying to be.
You're trying to get done so you can go chaperone the dance.
I don't want to go chaperone that damn dance. but I'm going to have to. But whatever. There is, and I don't know if I mentioned this. You heard about that bill in Missouri that state senator? Is it for the state or a city? I think it's for the state.
I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not entirely sure. I mean,
I'm not behind it.
The whole requirement thing is a strong word.
It's a government. What he wants to do is and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Obviously, It will not.
Right.
And I think the whole thing's just, I mean, this could be the big word of the podcast. I think the whole thing's freaking ludicrous. He wants to make it a government
like
requirement.
A state mandate.
Like a mandate. That's the word. He wants to mandate that everyone that lives in that state and is of age, 18 or older or something like that, owns a AR-15 rifle.
Right. And I think that's a little far-fetched.
I think that is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think it's so here's why I think that. Do I think everyone should own a gun? Sure, I think everyone should own a gun. Do I think the government should mandate me to own a gun? No, I do not.
Right.
I don't think the government should mandate me to do anything.
That boils down to the same issue as like, you can't own a gun, telling us that we can't. It's the same thing as telling us that we have to.
And it boils down to the same issue of them mandating that people have health insurance.
That's true too.
I mean, the government shouldn't mandate me to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with people who don't like guns or they are okay with them, but they're uncomfortable with them owning these freaking rifles. You're just going to end up with troubles. What you're going to end up with.
So you actually said the right word, people.
Yeah.
The government is of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Right.
So therefore, they should not be able to tell us, the people,
what we're going
to do and what we can't do.
So they're taking it like too far. So self-defense, Second Amendment is a right. It's a right to, or not a right. It's it's a God-given right to protect yourself and to do this and inalienable right.
Yeah.
Okay. But I still have the choice. I don't have to. I can
Absolutely.
or I can't. And it's just the same way. I'm not trying to get into the whole teacher thing, but it's where there's another state. I forget where this was, and I didn't print this article off, where they are trying to pass a bill where they are going to pay teachers more money if they carry a gun to school. That is a totally the wrong way to go with that as well.
Right.
Because you're going to have people that are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Just doing it for the money.
They're doing it for the money. They're going to leave that gun on the desk. They're going to be irresponsible with it. They aren't going to be focused on what they're doing. They aren't going to
think there's a way to get teachers to do that.
Right.
But you really have to pick the right teachers. And you have to be very cautious and careful.
The ones that want to do it are going to do it right.
Right.
They are going to go out. They're going to get some training. They're going to be responsible.
Yes.
People that carry a gun I know there's a lot of people that carry a gun, but there's a good portion of them that carry a gun every day, and the ones that do it correctly, they feel that responsibility to do it right, to be safe, to take the classes, to practice shooting. You tell someone you're going to give them an extra $100 a month on their paycheck. Oh, okay. They're going to go buy that. They're going to go buy the shittiest gun they can find. They're going to not even use a holster.
Give me a hot point.
They're going to stick it in their pocket. They're going to get tired of feeling it in their pocket, and they're going to leave it on their desk or in their desk drawer, and bad things are going to be.
Yeah.
Because they aren't motivated by responsibility. No. They're motivated by money. So if you have a state like Missouri that wants people to carry a rifle and it's going to require them to own a rifle, you're just going to run into that same sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I fought someone on Facebook because I didn't fought. We went back and forth for a minute, and he goes, "Well, what it is they want to prove that their state has a armed and ready militia, militia at the ready."
You don't need to prove anything.
So, well, but here's where I took this, because if you look at this, so one of the big arguments for the Second Amendment is what? Well, we don't need the Second Amendment nowadays, because that back then that was just to ensure a militia would be at the ready. So if you are
well-regulated militia,
So if you are requiring people, and then we fight against that, saying no, it's for every day. We're all the militia. But if you require people to have a rifle, and your basis is, well, we want to have a militia at the ready, you're really kind of playing into their hands.
Yeah. You want to have the right militia ready. You don't want to have everybody in the state. And there's going to be people that don't want to do it, and you can't force them to do it. I mean, I'll
be honest with you.
There's certain people that just shouldn't have it.
They shouldn't. They just really shouldn't. I see videos all the time. I mean,
And I'm not making fun of those people. They're just not competent enough to own the firearm. I really believe that.
And they don't. And the thing is they don't want to be.
Right.
Because if you want to be good at something, if you want to be competent with something, you will
take the steps.
take the steps.
Yeah.
And by the way, are you cold as hell in here? Because I'm starting to get cold.
I'm starting to get a little cold. Yeah.
Okay.
Turn the heat off.
You take over for a minute. I'm going to crank the seat up.
Okay. No. So this is kind of like, you have a choice of what state you're living in, and the legislature of that state is going to be, oh Jesus. The legislature in that state is going to be what you're going to have to live by.
Right.
So that's kind of, we live in Idaho. It's pretty liberal as far as the gun laws go.
Sure.
They're pretty lax.
We're free. Don't use liberal, use free.
Right.
I don't like the liberal.
Yeah. I don't like that word either. They're pretty lax on their gun laws here, which is, some people will argue, well, you're just going to, it's just going to lead to bad things. Well,
hasn't
yet. And I'm not trying to push anybody to do it, but I think it would have happened several times over if we had a real problem. That's just kind of a choice. I choose to live here. I was born and raised here. I don't really want to leave. I've seen other places in this country. There's very few other states that I would go to if I did leave.
Right.
You have a state that, I don't want to get into political stuff, but you have a state that has millions of gun owners or millions of guns in its state. Then you have other states that you have millions of people that can't even figure out which bathroom to use.
Yeah.
I choose to be in the state that knows what they want.
The common sense state.
The common sense state.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to guess which bathroom I'm going to go to,
Right.
There's a point where it's just ridiculous.
You give me too many bathrooms, I get confused and I'll just piss my pants before. You give me a house with too many bathrooms in it, I can't figure out which way to go. I'll just whatever. No one.
So in Missouri,
off the porch every time.
Places like Missouri, it shouldn't be mandated. I agree that if you feel like you need to own an AR, then do it, but do it the right way. Educate yourself.
Right.
Learn about the firearm. Train with the firearm. Don't use a firearm for the wrong purposes. Obviously, just like any other gun.
Yeah. What I'm afraid of, though, this is what I'm afraid of. And the reason why, when I first saw this, I was like, that's not a good idea. Everyone jumps on board and they think it's a great idea. I stated why I don't think it's a good idea. But then later on this afternoon, I was on Facebook. And in our little state of Idaho over here, we had Alex Kincaid. She's a big Second Amendment attorney up, and she posted this up, and she goes, now this is what we need in the state of Idaho. I think the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance should look into this, and we should be pushing for this next year. I tell you what, if I see this requiring you to own an AR-15 if you live in the state, if I see that come through, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'll just sit at the gun counter and tell people, no, I'm not selling you the gun.
I'm gonna lose my mind, because there's so many other things to fight for. There's many other things, so many other laws, gun related laws, like the one that didn't make it through this year, like the school carry bill.
Yeah,
if that would have received more support by the people like the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance and stuff like that, I think that would have.
So I'd have a good
would have carried through.
Good story about that very thing.
Okay, let's talk.
So there's a teacher, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to put that out there, but there's a teacher I know from a school here in Idaho that asks her husband because sometimes she feels uneasy about situations at school.
Right.
She's having a meeting with a parent or something like that. Asks her husband to be there, knowing that he's armed.
Oh, really?
Yes. So she is literally putting him in a situation where he's illegally carrying.
That's a federal law.
Exactly.
That is a federal law he's breaking.
So, yes.
So this teacher gets nervous at a parent-teacher conference or whatever.
Yes.
And asks her husband to come hang out, whether it be in the classroom or outside the classroom, with his fire, knowing he's carrying.
Yes.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. And I said, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to point out anybody.
That's fine. Nobody's asking you to. I understand why you don't want to do that. But just the fact that,
and he brought that up to her. That he was
Wow.
a big proponent for this, K through 12
I think
carry
it's-
bill, right?
Yeah.
He was big pro, he was on board with
I'll
that.
be with you at every parent.
He was on board with
conference.
that, right? Well, she was totally against it.
But she's
and
having him do
so-
it illegally.
Hypocritically, exactly.
It's okay. It's okay when she feels it's
Exactly.
necessary for her.
And he flat out, and this is his wife.
Did he yell at her?
He had guts to say it. They got in a big argument about it, and he told her that she's being a hypocrite.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
The Second Amendment's not just there for when you think you need it, but
Right.
it's not. It's not for anyone else. I mean, he's breaking a federal law, and she's okay with that. But when they decide to try and make it actually legal to do it, she's totally against it. Bad things are going to happen.
So I was with them not too long ago.
Wow.
And I brought it up. And
Wow.
he said, we're not going to talk about it. And I'm like, okay. And she was in the car too. And we were all just riding around. But
Wow.
yeah, he said, we're not going to talk about it. And, I dropped it. Later on, I brought it up to him, just when we were just
Really?
me and him. And he told me, I'm like, oh, well, I should talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, you can. Don't name names. I mean,
So,
it is what it is.
yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, I guarantee you he's not the only person that carries at school.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's actually some teachers that carry at school right now.
Right.
I mean, so whatever. I just think that I'm just afraid that Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, they better not take up this Missouri bill because that was stupid. It was not a good thing for
That's a little
for Alex Kincaid to get on and Facebook and say we need to do this.
Yeah.
Think of the freaking just think about it.
Well,
It's
and
a
that's
bad idea.
kind of, I think you're reaching pretty far. I think you're overstepping a little bit on that.
You are.
Yeah.
You totally are.
Because that's just going the same way. It's like telling somebody they can't do this. It's just the same way. It goes the opposite way as well.
Get behind something else. Get behind something else. Get behind the school carry bill. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you're 18 years old and you want to carry, I couldn't care less. Do what you want to do. I'm okay with that law, but I still think that there's bigger laws, bigger issues that the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance could chase, and that wouldn't have been at the top of my list by any means. That's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but I think the school carry bill would have been a lot better.
Oh, yeah, by far.
A lot better. So I have got, actually, you know what? We've got an email from a listener.
Oh.
And I am going to, let me find it here.
You mean that thing actually works?
Well, the email, the email actually kind of works.
That's cool.
Give me a minute to find it. I obviously take a lot of pictures. Come on. Let me find it.
We have one viewer. Who is it?
Yeah, Brad Lancaster just joined. Brad, you always say I don't give you a shout out. There you go, buddy. Oh, well, and it's Josh.
Oh, and Josh.
Josh is there.
Old reliable.
Old reliable. So let me find this. Where's it at? Was it a text? I don't know. Talk about something here for a minute so they don't have to look at me.
Oh, boy. You just put me on the spot, didn't you?
Speak.
Can you edit this out? I'm just wondering.
Speak. I'm not going to.
You had me right in the middle of something, and I'm like, what do I say?
Okay, I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it.
That was good.
And this is from Andrew Loy. Okay, this is from listener Andrew Loy. And he is in Oregon. He says, this is what he says. I'm just going to read it, and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
It says, I've listened to every episode of the podcast up to the interview with Sue from a few weeks ago, which we appreciate. Thank you for that. Keep listening.
Yes,
okay?
Thank you.
And I wanted to correct a few bits of information on the concealed carry laws in Oregon. Good, because it's hard to know every state.
Right.
And Oregon's one of those ones where it's a little, I
little
never
sketchy.
can tell. Yeah. He says, I live about 20 miles west of Portland. I'm sorry about that. Portland's way too big.
West of Portland? Boy, he's close to the...
Yeah.
Okay.
West of Portland. Oregon is a shall issue state for residents and a may issue state for non-residents. So it's not, I think we stated it once, it was a may issue, but it is a shall for residents and a may for non-residents.
Gotcha.
So there you go.
Okay.
Also, there is no shooting requirement for the training certificate. which is sad but true. You can even take the training online. Anyway, I'm a big fan. I enjoy the content. I'm still waiting for you to get your invite to SHOT Show one of these years and for you to get your damn PD-10 already. Come on, Avidity Arms.
So you stop talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And lastly, would you get Tarver to say boudin balls for me? Well, hey, Andrew, I'm going to let you know. We appreciate the email or message or however you sent this to me. I think it's Facebook message is what you sent. Keep listening because we actually have an episode where we eat boudin balls. You just haven't got to that episode yet.
I'm there. Count me in.
Yeah, and we say it numerous times. He did say, though, which is interesting to me, that there is no shooting requirement. So you have Oregon, who is pretty anti-gun anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no shooting requirement for their permit?
Yeah, so here's the thing.
It's an online test? What the hell?
Tell me this. How is Idaho's enhanced permit not qualification enough to get to Oregon?
It
or
is.
To be reciprocal?
Well, because they don't recognize anything. No, you can use.
Why don't they recognize it? It's more. There's more involved in Idaho's than there is Oregon's.
They want to keep their thumbs on you in Oregon.
Oh my goodness!
I have no idea, but that's amazing.
Common sense, right out the window.
Right out the window. But that's Oregon for you. And Andrew, I used to be an Oregon resident. I moved up here when I was in high school. I used to live over in the Umatilla, Hermiston area, more this side. So. More eastern Oregon. Kind of grew up in the Hermiston, Pendleton area, that over there. But so I used to be an Oregonian, and a while back I thought about moving back. The company I work for kind of was maybe talking about getting me a job over there, and kind of glad I didn't, because then I wouldn't have Patriot Defense. I wouldn't have all this stuff. So
I was a resident of Oregon for about a week last summer.
For about you sent pictures of you on the beach.
Yeah, I rented a Airbnb or whatever they call that.
We could have done without the pictures of you in your Speedo, though.
Oh man, well, I bought it. I figured I might as well.
We saw you trying to conceal your. Never mind. So anyhow, I got one more question, and I guess it is firearms related or Second Amendment related. But and I don't know if he listens to the podcast, and I'm not picking on him because we all make our own choices. I honestly don't think he listens, but. There's a guy that I knew that lived here in Idaho, okay? And he was a patriot. He was a Second Amendment guy. He was always putting posts up about stuff like that, about, all kinds of stuff, about living free, all the stuff. So he goes on vacation to Hawaii, and I don't know if he planned it, but he had a job interview down there or something. But he comes back, they sell all their stuff, they move their family to Hawaii. And they've been down there for, I don't know, maybe close to a year. I don't know. Beautiful down there. He posts pictures up all the time. Beautiful in Hawaii. The weather's, 60, 70, 80 degrees when we got snow and 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, yeah.
And I do get kind of jealous, and he'll post pictures of himself on the beach every evening after work. And so I saw that there's some gun legislation, and I don't even recall exactly what it is, but they're pretty strict on firearms in Hawaii, on, legal ownership, so especially handguns, concealed carry, that kind of thing. And they are trying to push through, or they have pushed through, some legislation that's not so good. It just keeps getting gun control, just keeps getting worse and worse and worse over there. And so I sent him this link, and I said, hey, man, I'm jealous. You live over there. It's freaking beautiful over there. And sometimes I get jealous of your weather, and I hope everything's going well. But I just have to tell you, man, I could never move over there because my libertarian type views on life and the government and my love for the Second Amendment would never allow me to live over there.
Yeah. And
he took it in stride, and he explained that they were just they were over there. They're going to live there for taking life a year at a time, and he didn't have to move over there. I believe he chose to move over there.
Right.
And he said that he wasn't going to allow the government policies to dictate how he lived his life or where he lived his life out at. And I'm like, huh? So I'm okay.
That's you can take that two ways,
right?
Is he like going against the rules of the state, or is he abiding by the rules?
I think I believe he's abiding by the rules.
He's not going to let politics and government
dictate where he
what kind of life he can live,
where he wants to live,
Right.
where he's going to live. I think that's what
Gotcha.
he meant. I probably worded
So
it
he's not
wrong.
he's not going to let that take over his life.
Right.
basically.
If he
Gotcha.
likes guns and he decided he liked Chicago, he wouldn't care. He would just leave his guns behind and move to Chicago.
Yeah, boy, I wouldn't.
Okay, but here's the thing. So, what would you trade? How important is the
So you're
second,
gonna give up stuff.
Yeah. How important is the Second Amendment to you? Would you trade the Second Amendment? Would you trade your guns out to be able to go live in? And I'm not picking on this guy at all.
Right.
So I'm not throwing his. I'm having a hard time
The concept
understanding the concept.
Right.
What would you give up to go live in paradise? What's it worth?
That's difficult because I think, I always say, I don't really shoot all that often. Do I really need this gun type thing? I run that through my head.
But you like them.
But then I'm like, but I do shoot, it might not be
Right.
as much as I want to, but I do it and it is
Right.
fun. Could I be without it? I gotta go back to like my childhood. I didn't have guns back then. I turned out fine,
But let's look at this though.
but
Could you give up guns, or could you give up? Okay, let's not even talk guns because that's not even really. I guess.
Okay.
Let's go deeper. Could you give up the Second Amendment? Could you give up the right to protect yourself? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Your right to self-defense.
okay.
Could you? Because that is, if you move to a place like that, you're giving up, I guess, a tool that is really effective at defending yourself
Right.
with. Could you give up your right to that? Because essentially, that's what you're doing.
So didn't they kind of do that in some respect? I mean, that's
what they did. Yeah.
that's kind of how the whole Revolutionary War started. Is
Yeah.
they were taking stuff from people.
And when he was over here, he was Mr. Gunn.
Yeah.
He was taking classes. He's a great
Maybe,
guy.
So maybe he's just holding his family, above his right to self-defense, which I think.
Wouldn't you want to
I
raise
think
them in
that
a
would
place?
be, yeah. And I agree. I mean, I'm fully on board with what you're saying.
Right.
I'm just trying to get in his head and try and think what he's thinking of.
So maybe he, and I don't know the situation at all. Maybe he's making a lot more money. Is money worth it? What's worth it?
right.
I guess it depends on how close you hold the Second Amendment, how dear the Second Amendment is to you, how important it is to you.
I actually want to use this question. And I want people, if they listen to the podcast, I want people to email or Facebook or do whatever to Patriot Defense.
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I want to know, what will you give up to
What would you give up?
live in a paradise? Let's say a paradise.
Yeah.
What are you willing to give up?
Because, a lot of people are going to jump and say, oh, nothing. But really, think long and hard about it. Because people do all the time. And then you got people that don't have it, that never have it. You got people like down in Argentina, okay? Places like that where, I saw an article. Those people they gave up their guns long ago. The government took them. They're totally relying on the government for food and water right now, and they can't fight back. They fight back, they don't feed them.
Exactly.
Okay, the government just, oh, you're going to do that? Well, we're not going to give you your allotment of food. Guess what? They can't do a damn thing about it because they don't have a gun. They can't stand up against a corrupt government. They can't defend themselves against the hoodlums in the street, anything. They're drinking freaking sewer water.
Right.
They were bucketing up water from the
Eating
sewer.
cats and eating dogs and anything they can get their hands on for food.
And those people would give anything to be able to defend themselves against a tyrannical government or the hoodlums or whatever. And there's people up there that would give that up because they want to go live in a paradise. They want to go live in a certain state. They move because they're going to make untold amounts of money. What's the draw for someone to do that?
Yeah.
And
so Venezuela, like 10 years ago.
that's not Argentina.
No,
Excuse me.
Venezuela. Yeah.
Venezuela. My fault.
So like, I don't know. I think there was something that said 10 years ago was one of the best economies in the world.
Right.
And within 10 years, it just went in the dumps.
And those people would do anything to be able to defend themselves. They do anything for Second Amendment rights right now. I don't understand.
So you don't really realize what you had until you don't have it.
I don't understand how you could just leave that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that he's not happy in Hawaii.
Right.
Who wouldn't be happy in Hawaii?
Oh, yeah.
it's beautiful there. The weather's always nice. I get that. But that's something he had to give up, is he had to give up his guns. I mean, essentially.
This guy was ingrained. I mean, I'm not going to say that you are a gun guy if you do this, but you'll know what this guy freaking appendix carried. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was in kind of deep. I mean, he believed that he carried every day. He'd go on little like rescue missions with this church to go get people who were taken into like the sex slavery or kidnapped or by their. I mean, he would do that, and he was armed, and he was trained, and he just left that.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to change his lifestyle. Or something.
If there's what would cause you to do that? Would it be money? Would it be a high-end, high-paying job? Would it be because you wanted to go live in another state? And just because you wanted to go experience Hawaii? I mean, would you do this by choice?
So would you allow a state's government or laws to sway where you lived? I mean, is that what what you're kind of getting at?
You got people like me who I won't even go to freaking California.
Right.
Because I don't want
to. I went there a couple summers ago, and you
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I won't even go to California because if there's a business in town that doesn't allow firearms, I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but I'm probably not going to give them my money. I'm going to go somewhere else.
I went to Northern California. Northern California didn't seem as bad, but I can't see why the California people continue to vote the way, to get the same people. It's on a downward spiral. Right. It is. You can't deny it. They don't see it, maybe because they're standing right in front of it. Maybe they need to step back a little bit.
Too busy saving the snail and the sea otter.
Yeah, and the straws and anyway.
Anyhow, that's a good question though. What would make you? Is there a big enough pull? Is there anything have a big enough pull? Whether it be a high-paying job, you go live in paradise, that you would actually move somewhere where they didn't recognize your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah. You had to guess which bathroom you were going to.
What would it be for you? Throw out the numbers and contacts one more time.
So for this question, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you would give up. You can call the podcast hotline and leave a message on there at 1208-696-4397. Email us. Let us know what you think on this. PatriotDefense13@yahoo.com. If you can even, send a message in Facebook or whatever.
You can call me personally. You can text. I prefer text. It's a little easier. You can text message me personally at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. And tell me what you think, and we'll read them. If I get emails, we freaking read them. We read them on the podcast.
This is actually a really good topic, I think. What are you willing to give up?
Yeah, exactly. One more thing that's kind of dawned on me. We've already hit an hour, but we got a few more minutes. There is I'm not picking on this guy. I'm really not. But first of all, let me preface it with this. If you're going to carry a firearm, please do it correctly. If you're going to carry a firearm, use the right gear, use the right holster, use the good belt, use something that's going to hold the freaking holster up. Okay. I saw a picture of some people in Boise. Okay. Maybe state representatives, possibly. And he was carrying a firearm and it looked like it was going to freaking fall off his damn belt. And in this picture, and it just annoys the hell out of me. I know you dressed up nice, and I know you got like a nice suit belt on or whatever. Go get a good gun belt. Go get a good gun belt. If you're going to wear a gun, do it responsibly. A gun belt is going to make it so you don't even notice the firearm was there. And this is a pretty full-framed gun. I mean, it was like...
If you're going to look the part, you better
look
the
part. It was holstered, but it was like this.
Okay.
And it was just pulling. You could tell. I mean, it's just like...
John Wayne never wore it like that.
I know. I know. And I'm not picking on you. I think it's great you're carrying a firearm, and I think you need to. But, man, get a gun belt. Just if I had one, just get a gun belt. Yeah. Get good gear, man.
Good gear, definitely. You don't have to be a gear whore like me, but, good gear does go a long way.
You're a gear whore. I'm kind of a kind of a running whore. I'm a whore.
Well, that's true.
I'm a whore that likes to run. No. Okay.
No.
There you go. Anyhow, I think we are done for the day. I thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Yeah.
And we have a big class this next Saturday, and hopefully, if you got a few minutes after class, we can do it all over again.
We shall see if Mark returns.
So, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. We will see you guys next week. Thanks.